Welcome back. It is me, your host of the FullRange Podcast, Matt Johnson. Welcome back to episode number 2. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who shared, liked. We even had some comments on the social media pages a little bit, especially on my personal account for those of you that know me personally. Got on there and were, asking me some questions and thoughts and things for today's podcast as well. So we're gonna hit some of those things today. So thank you again. The FullRange Podcast is off to its second episode. I'm super excited, and we got a great show for you today. I actually just got back from the gym and things like that, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later in the workout wisdom segment there. So, first of all, today's episode is we're going to do our mental health minute with me. We're going to talk a little bit just about life and things like that, setbacks and things. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Number 2, the second segment, again, we're going to do the workout wisdom. We're going to talk a little cardio today. So we kind of teased it a little bit last week with Billy Gardner in the first episode. I kind of mentioned that, I'm a big cardio guy. I do like and enjoy some of that, and not everybody does. So just some information and things that I like about it, and hopefully maybe it motivates you guys to get out there and move a little bit more. I think it's one of the most undersold things that really anyone ever really talks about, unless you're kind of in that fitness world. And then the third segment, we're going to have the Coach's Corner with Jordan Clark a little later on. We're going to bring him in. We're going to talk a little cardio with him as well, and talk a little high school sports. His football team is still in the district and state playoffs down in southern Pennsylvania. I have a couple questions for him regarding that. We'll talk a little high school hoops, just really quick. And then we're just going to dive into some bets that we like. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit of a shorter segment. I also wanted to talk a little bit about betting 101. So one of the questions that we had from a listener, Mitch, shout out Mitch, was just kind of to give like what some of the verbiage that Jordan and I have used on last week's episode. So we'll kind of dive into some of that. So first of all, again, please share this as much as possible. My goal this week is to try to get at least 10 shares. So episode 2, the goal is 10 shares on Instagram or Spotify. Please like it, subscribe it. And also shout out Old Wall's House podcast. Jordan Wallenberg, one of my good buddies, sponsoring the show, helping me run the show. And he is invaluable to running the ship a little bit. So he's kind of working with me through stuff. So go out and check his podcast out. He talks sports, he talks politics, he talks life, he talks movies and all sorts of different things. A little bit of the same stuff that we do here, kind of a full range of topics on his as well, where we kind of focus on some of those topics at times too. So definitely go check him out. He's doing a great job. He's on episode 150, 200 plus now. I can't remember which one it is now. So please go check him out. So let's get started with the mental health minute. So this week was a little bit of a tougher week for myself. And so, one of the things that I do when I'm having a tough week, and, to dive into a little bit of the personal side of it, I was just struggling for motivation, stressed out with work and making sure I have everything ready for basketball season, which that sounds like such a negative that I'm, stressed out over work and stressed out over basketball and life and everything. But, it's really all positive things. I love coaching. I love teaching. I don't always love waking up, but I love going to work each day. So I love going to see the boys on the basketball team. I love the coaching staff that I'm with. I never want those seasons to end. I just had a kind of a rough week, and one of the things that I notice is when I'm struggling mentally, the feeling of self-sabotaging kind of comes into play. And that's kind of the little bit of focus that I wanted to talk about today with self-sabotage. So it kind of has a negative connotation to it. And a lot of times the self-sabotage will start to begin when I'm stressed out or anxious or fearful of something, or just life is kind of all hitting you all at once. And you guys, I'm sure as listeners, are sitting there being like, you guys could probably rattle off 3 or 4 things going on in your own personal life, and everybody's going through different things. And but when those stress levels are high, I always feel like the self-sabotaging habits, I guess, or old habits, or habits that I'm more aware of, tend to pop up. So whether it be, maybe you are stressed out, so you have a drink at night and then it leads to another drink the next day, or, you go on a 3 or 4 day kind of bender, even during the work week or whatever it might be. And typically then it leads to poor eating habits. Maybe you skip the gym or skip your daily walk, and none of those things are good for when you're struggling mentally. And I just had, I had one of those weeks where it was hard to be motivated, hard to be good with my diet, and, not, maybe waiting for like a social event or, one day on the weekend to have a drink. And, I felt myself kind of craving those moments and kind of almost being like, well, it doesn't really matter, and none of this matters, and it's just gonna, whatever, I'm just gonna enjoy whatever I'm doing. And that never helps. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about today is something that I try to do when I'm going through that, and even daily. And, in the world of technology, with all these podcasts and, smartphones and all these different things, one of the things that I like to do is I honestly use the notepad on my iPhone. I use it probably 5 or 6 days a week. And I just jot down things. I jot down things to look at later and reflect on. I may even sometimes write things that I wanted to say to somebody that was just being rude, or, a jerk, or an asshole, whatever it might be. And then most of the time it's just feelings about, life in general. It could be relationships, it could be parenting, could be coaching, could be work. It especially happens with work things, and leading to me feeling depressed and me feeling anxious and me feeling not good enough. So a little bit of kind of journaling. And I don't have a personal journal. I used to. That went into the fire on another bad night. And so what I wrote in there, I wanted to share with you guys this week. And I wrote it down, so, I apologize for looking away for a second. But my advice to myself that day was, I wouldn't be where I am without the hardships that preceded me and are with me now. So one more time, I wouldn't be where I am without the hardships that preceded me and are with me now. And that's one of the things that I try to remember consistently when I'm struggling or stressed out or feeling like I'm not enough, is I've been through much worse than just that day or just that week or even just that month. And, I don't compare hardships. I don't compare, anybody's losses compared to mine, because everybody needs to feel those feelings and go through those things in their own way. And one thing that's affecting me negatively might not affect you negatively, or it might not bother you as much. And something that bothers you as much might not bother me at all, or just a little bit. But they make us who we are, and learning through the process of those hardships on how to deal with it and how to get through with it really helps me during the day. I'm sure there's a million quotes out there that I could have read to you today, but I thought that it was powerful, that kind of popped up into my brain, and I jotted it down on my notepad on my phone. And I read it and looked at it at the gym that day. Didn't have a great workout, It was not good. But I um, went for a walk after the workout, and I even texted a couple buddies that day and just had conversations about nothing with them. And those are just some of the things that I know of in the past have made me feel better and helped me work through some of those different things. So my suggestion to you is, whether you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or even sometimes a bad year, and I hope not for all of your guys' sake, keep grinding. And whether that be journaling, working out, going to see a friend, talking to a friend, making a phone call to somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, and trying to find different things to work through those hardships. And because what's gonna happen is, on the other side of all that, you're gonna learn more about yourself and how you work through things, and you're gonna be better off the next time life hits you with something really hard. So go for a walk, go for a run, go exercise, have a good meal, meet a buddy, keep stacking all those good things, and try to later on go back and see which ones really helped you get through those moments. So that's my mental health minute with me today. And if you guys have any thoughts or comments or things that you guys do well, comment on the videos, share it with a comment. And, even if you know me personally, give me a text message. Let me know what you're going through. And, I won't throw your name out here or anything like that. Maybe that's something that we can talk about next week. Maybe you even want to come on and chit chat and get through some things, because talking about it is definitely very important. So I appreciate you guys, and kind of leading into the next segment here with our workout wisdom, is one of the things that I find very helpful is movement. It's very cliche, and, I'm sure there was probably a couple of you listening that are like, oh, yeah, I know it's good for me. I don't want to hear it again and all that stuff. But we're going to talk a little cardio today in the workout wisdom segment. And first of all, if you watched our episode last week, I've come to love cardio, and it took me a long, long time. So just a quick history of kind of my cardio journey. And a lot of times when you think about cardio, you think about long distance running and all these different things. So back in high school, I had an injury my senior year. It was just a broken thumb. It wasn't anything. But it took most of my senior year of basketball away. Very, very depressing. I never talked about it. I never brought it up. I never discussed what level of depressed that really made me. And my eating habits just were terrible. I was eating and drinking whatever I could get my hands on. I felt bad for myself. I didn't like me. I love my friends and everything like that. But in college, I stepped on the scale for one of the times. I think one weekend I was home, and I was 286 pounds. And I looked in the mirror. It was actually at my mom's house, and I remember the mirror was to my left, and I'm standing on the scale, and I just looked at myself and I said, yeah, I can't look like this anymore. I don't like the way I look. And every day, at least 5 or 6 times a day, I was on the treadmill for a half hour, 45 minutes. And I was not weight training. I wasn't really doing anything weight wise yet. And I was just running and walking. And I hated it. I could not stand all of that. So I hated it for a long time. I love it now, but I hated it for a long time. And I lost weight fast. I got down to about 240 pounds or so. I felt better, felt like I was looking better. And then kind of, life happened and it shoot up to 255. And then, years go by and I drop down to about 230. And then, life happens more. And, I actually moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I got down to my lightest, about 203 pounds. Moved back home to my hometown, ballooned back up to 225. Some things happened throughout the years, and, finally kind of catapulted me into going pretty hard at the gym, and got down to about 200 pounds. And then at 200 pounds with cardio and then starting some resistance training and really diving into the diet part of it is where I dropped my last 25, 30 pounds. And so I'm sitting here as a above average knowledgeable person when it comes to exercise and nutrition and all those things. As a person that was 286 pounds at one point in his life, 17, 18 years ago, to now 170, 175 pounds currently. So, and cardio is a big part of that. And what I've learned in the last few years is cardio to me is freedom. I don't really necessarily think about anything else when I'm on a run or a walk or a bicycle ride, or even on the stairs. Sometimes the only thing that I'm thinking about is getting done and finishing it. Sometimes I'm thinking about how painful it is, how this sucks, and how much I hate it. But afterwards, I always am like, man, I love that. Like the freedom of not thinking about work, not thinking about life in general. Like it's just it's that freedom feeling, and it's that kind of that runner's high that you may have heard about. I love that. And it took me a long time. So if you're new to the gym and you're new to cardio, just understand like it's going to suck. But one of the things is I try to change my mindset to I have to embrace that suck because I'm going to be better for it on the other side. I love the difficulty of it. I love the challenge of it. And I love how it changes that mindset over time. It changes your mindset of, I don't want to do this thing, but I'm going to do it anyways. And it's so powerful to overcome those things. And I love that about cardio because everybody can go into the gym and lift some weights, or they can be light. And even if you're not building muscle or whatever it might be, it can be relatively easy. If you're doing it the right way, it's probably not, but it can be really easy. But there's no hiding from running, and no hiding from biking, and no hiding from stairs, and no hiding from incline walks and things that I like to do, especially after my workouts, and get that good sweat. And so what I encourage you guys to do is, if you don't love cardio, and maybe you're coming new to the gym or you've been in the gym for a while, and even some of my buddies that aren't big runners or walkers, and what's cool is most of us now are middle-aged, sort of. I don't know if that's probably not the right word to use there, but we're all in our 30s, and most of us really have started to gear ourselves more of, I have friends that go for long distance walks in the morning, or at night. I have, Jordan Clark, who's going to be joining us soon for the Coach's Corner, likes to go for long runs. Billy last week mentioned that he goes for walks and incline walks and does some treadmill running after his workout. So what I would encourage you guys to do is start small. And so whether you're going to the gym or not, there's ways to build in those movements throughout the day. Whether it be after breakfast, go for a 10-minute walk. After lunch, after dinner, 10 minutes. Like you stack up 10 minutes 3 or 4 times a day, you're at a half hour to an hour of more steps than what you would normally do. Plus, there's some benefits of digestion after meals, going for a 10, 15-minute walk. If you want to be a runner, start small. I posted on our Instagram page this week. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I recorded it today. And you guys won't see this until Thursday or so. But I put a post out of my push day workout, and at the bottom, I did a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's probably a thing. I've never really heard of it until I kind of started doing it. And it's probably an old thing. I'm not saying I created it. But I run for 5 minutes, and then I walk for 5 minutes. I Then I run for 4, walk for 4, run for 3, walk for 3. And I go down to 1 minute. And before you know it, that's 30 minutes of pretty steady state cardio. Sometimes I do a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or a 7 all the way down to 1. Some days I just do 4, 3, 2, 1. And whether you're starting with a 1 minute run, very light jog, and walking for 3 minutes, and jogging for 1 minute, and then walking for 3 minutes. Or if you're a little bit more advanced and you're doing 10 minutes of running and 2 minutes of walking, your body's still moving. And, one of the big things for overall health is your heart. That's probably number one. Something I've learned through a lot of this stuff is if you have a good heart, good lungs, and good quads, you got muscular quads, those are the 3 most things that are kind of dictate whether you're going to have a long, healthy life. It's heart, lungs, and then basically your legs. And the leg part comes down to walking. And walking, running, biking, rowing, whatever it might be, really is going to probably extend your life. And it's definitely not going to hurt any of that. So whether you're old or young, I always encourage the cardio piece of it. I would encourage you guys to do it after your resistance training or weight training if you do plan on starting it. Because a lot of times if you do cardio before more than 5 or 10 minutes, your body's going to start getting more tired. You're not going to be able to lift as much or as heavy to build muscle and burn that fat. So I would encourage you to lift first, then run. But it's a powerful thing. Get out there and move. And you don't have to be a runner. My long distance runs are 3 to 5 miles, and I've taken a long time to get to that point. So, and honestly, it sucks running for more than 45 minutes. It really does. So, it doesn't matter how fast you are, how slow you are. I encourage you guys to try out some cardio, and just start. And what you'll find is 2 or 3 days in, you're going to have a day where you're going to say, I don't want to do this. And you're going to look for an excuse, push through that excuse, because what you're going to find is after you push through that, you're going to push through the next time and the next time after that. And you're going to be so much better for it. And even that mentality of I overcame that and I did that when I didn't want to is a very powerful thing. So that's it for the workout wisdom. Again, please, if you guys have comments or questions or anything, shoot them to me, whether it be on YouTube, on the Old Walls House podcast page. Please subscribe to his page. That's where you'll see all our content here at the FullRange Podcast. Or whether you see it on Instagram, please follow us on the FullRange Pod Instagram page. I'll be posting workouts, our push day and pull days and things like that on there too. Days off. And hopefully some more information for you guys as well. And coming up next, we have the Coach's Corner, where we'll talk a little bit more fun. All right. A little bit more fun with some, just life things with Jordan Clark, some high school sports and some betting advice. So stick with us. We'll be right back in just a second. So give me a second and he'll be joining us shortly. And here he is, just as promised. Jordan Clark joined us for the Coach's Corner, a little fun segment where we talk some sports betting. How you doing today, Jordan?
Good, Matt. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. So it's been a little over a week. We got episode 2 rolling along. And how's the week been going with, teaching and coaching and everything like that?
It's been a weird week. We were the number 1 seed down here, and we just snuck by. And it's one of those weeks where you're just not sure if the kids, football-wise, we're going to play the best team in our district, in the district semis. And I'm just not sure if they're like folding it in or if they're just overly confident. So it's been a weird week knowing who we're going up against at practice. But it's been colder. It's been more fun. You're getting down to the end. You never know if you're going to have another week or not. And then school-wise, I teach 6th grade, so school is school,
Yeah. Going back to the sports thing, sometimes you feel like as younger coaches like we are, you feel like you can have like a pretty good pulse on your team,
Yeah.
but there's weeks where you don't. Like you don't know if it's like are they taking it serious? Are they confident? Like it is a weird thing. So I was you guys have Harrisburg on Friday, right?
We do. Yep. And Harrisburg is the team that's ended our season in the district championship game the last 2 years.
And did you guys play them earlier in the year, right?
So we
Or
did.
no?
We played them in the regular season the last 2 years, beat them both times, and then they beat us in the playoffs both times. So this will be our first meeting in my third year here at Township.
It's a different style of football. Like Jordan and I both come from a pretty small town, and watching those big schools down there go at it's just a different level completely. Like it's crazy the difference between just the size of the kids on the sideline, even not even the starters or the first 11 special teams, whatever it might be. Like it's insane.
Yep.
Um, do you think they're going to be ready though? That's my last question. Do you think they're going to be ready?
I don't want to waste too much of our time here, but I mean, like Harrisburg has four top 300 players, 4 stars. Three of them are 4 stars, and they have a 3 star on their team. And they a kid committed to Syracuse, two kids committed to Penn State, and then a kid who's undecided who's got offers from Alabama, Georgia, Florida State. But they're not like overly tough up front. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what Harrisburg's going to show up. Is it going to be the Harrisburg that we killed in the playoffs, or we killed in the regular season, or playoff Harrisburg? I don't know. I like you just said. I mean, we were both head coaches, and we know what it takes, to run a program and to kind of feel kids out. But it's been a really weird week. They're just real quiet, and I almost think that they know that the end is near. Almost it seems, but then or are they just so confident in getting back to this because, like I said, they're the team that beat us the last 2 years. We have them at home again. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out if we can stop their three playmakers. We have a shot. I mean, we're a good team, but it could be a good game, could be a win, could be a blowout. I have no idea, honestly, and that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that are listening, Friday nights are a lot of fun for me. So I typically throw on the township game on my phone. I'll have the local sports teams, the Troy Trojans, who I coach basketball for. I'll watch some of their games on the big screen or vice versa. And I get to do that again this Friday, right after basketball practice. The first basketball practice on Friday, and half the team will be out at Mansfield University, a local school here, and playing against a Warrior Run team after upsetting honestly, like a national, well-known high school of Southern Columbia. I mean, if you're into high school sports, Southern Columbia has been on a run for 20 plus years, and state championship after state championship, and Troy knocked them off last week in a game and we haven't had a really chance to talk about this, and I know we got other things to talk about, but I've never seen Southern get blown out or run off the field as much as they did last Friday. It was amazing to watch live.
Yeah, I mean, Southern's not the Southern. I mean, they won 7 straight state titles. They came into that game 7-4. But to your point, I mean, they lost to Wyomissing, who's in my league, who's a powerhouse 3A team, but they lost them by like 14 points. They lost a couple other games by a touchdown or two. But yeah, they got just mollywopped. Troy put it right to them. Winning by 49 points that's 70 points against Columbia is crazy. Anyway.
And real quick, and then we'll move on, but it was amazing. Even the opening kickoff return for a touchdown from Troy. It didn't look like there was a size difference, a speed difference, a power difference. It was really special to watch, especially live. But so I'm super excited for them. It's going to mess up a little bit of the early basketball season, I think, for us.
Yep.
If they win this Friday. I think we have 28 kids signed up, and about 15 of them are playing football. So it's going to look a little different, but we're super excited, and I know you'll be watching some of our games on the streams and everything
Oh
too.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
so and then real quick, I kind of mentioned you when I talked about the cardio thing, and I mentioned that you're a guy that's been really running for a long time. You've even gotten into some biking in the past before. What was so I guess my only question for you, and I kind of talked about my reasoning. What was the one thing that really got you into running, like a long ways? Like what motivated you? What still motivates you, like to this day?
I mean, what really got me into running at my younger age was going and playing college football. I mean, it was part of our off season routine. I wasn't sure if I was going to make the team out of high school. Actually, I transferred out of my first year of college, but so I basically did the workouts in the winter by the book, and like every single other night or every other night, it was supposed to be run 3 miles, run 4 miles, and I never really did that routinely. I was more of a powerlifting guy in high school. But I followed that to a T, even when it was 20 degrees outside in Towanda and it was hilly. It wasn't straight running. And it's interesting just after you instill that in yourself for 3 years, it's almost like if you feel like you don't do it, you're like, you're a failure. Or like you just feel like you're just not, living your best life or living up to your expectations. I credit my coaches throughout my entire career for really instilling that, like, that determination in me, basically, just to go out and get things done. And I'm the same way now. Like if I don't work out for a day or two, I just feel terrible, like mentally and physically. And I just know I have to at least get a run in. Lifting weights is kind of, as you know, I'm sure lifting weights
Yeah.
is kind of hard in season. You just don't have as much time. So I haven't lifted as much as I'd like to, but I always find time to get in a quick 20, 30, 40-minute run. It's just really mentally cleansing as well. Just kind of gets the stress away. And just that after feel, as you know, like that runner's high, it's just, can't beat it.
Dude, it's honestly like you were a fly on the wall when I was talking about it earlier. Like, just yeah, like it's cool to listen to you talk about that, like that runner's high. That I kind of describe it as like a freedom.
Mhm.
Like, there's not much you're thinking about. You're just thinking about your next step, where you're going to go next, where the finish line is. You're not thinking about your job. You're not thinking about relationships. You're not thinking about anything like that. And it's interesting to hear you say, like, after 2 or 3 years, and part of the thing I said to listeners was like, you just got to start something, like even if it's run a minute, walk 5 minutes, and so on and so forth. So
And that's what
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what I used to do. Like at my house, I would run for 8 minutes on the treadmill. And you know what? Running 8 minutes on the treadmill was better than running 0 minutes. And I just continuously worked my way up to where I'm at now. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it's just you got to start somewhere. And I'll never fault anybody for starting any type of workout in any capacity, to try and better themselves.
Yeah, and that's such a big thing with the gym and stuff, and we'll get into that in later weeks. But just get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like, even if you feel like an idiot, everyone around you felt that way or still feels that way in there as well. So, all right, so we're gonna get right into this now. Thanks for all that. We're gonna dive right in. So I want to just start with Thursday night football, because when the pod's released, we'll kind of talk about that. I don't necessarily have a play in this game. It's the Washington Commanders going to Philadelphia. A cold, probably winterish night. It's going to be 40 some degrees or so. Um, I lean the Commanders money line. Actually, I kind of like the Commanders money line. I think Phillies had some down opponents recently,
Hmm.
where maybe it might take them a little while to get going. Where I think Washington's kind of been challenged these last few weeks, and I think that's going to only help them in a short week. Coming off kind of a heartbreaking loss, that's the only thing that kind of scares me. But I don't really necessarily believe in the Eagles' defense as much, or the Commanders' defense as much. So I kind of went with the special Jaden Daniels, kind of everything's rolling their way. Maybe this is their year to win the division. How do you feel on that one?
As a Commanders fan, um, I'm not sold. I said it last week, I think too. I'm just not sold on the Eagles. I know they just find ways to win, kind of like the Steelers do, but they just aren't, like flashy or anything like that. So, I would also lead the Commanders a little bit here. I think after a heartbreaking loss, they want to get back at it, but I being in Philadelphia on a Thursday night with that crowd, it's a little bit scary, especially for a rookie and Jaden Daniels. So I would stay away from this, but if I had to absolutely pick, I'd probably take the 3.5 with Washington.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning that. I just like the plus money there at the plus 146, but I probably won't bet either side, but I probably will do some like player prop type things with it. So we'll post that on some socials. But so as we kind of move along here, after Thursday night, we got some games on Friday. We got games, a whole slate of games on Saturday in college football. So I will post the college football teaser, but just so you guys know, it's a plus 11 teaser at plus 125 odds. So for those of you that don't know, that's bet $125 to win 100 or $12.50 to win 10. I know I had some questions about all that kind of stuff when we talked about it last week. But it's Texas going into Arkansas, bouncing back a little bit. Well, not really bouncing back. They looked really good this past week. Minus 2.5. Clemson, basically money line, which is just a straight up at plus 0.5 at Pitt. I have Ohio State minus 18.5 at your Northwestern Wildcats. And Colorado plus 1.5 at home versus Utah after a heartbreaking loss against BYU last week in a tough one. So that's the teaser. Anything that jumps out on you real quick? Just, anything about that one?
So I kind of went the other way on a lot of my picks, but not to the extreme of your teaser. I think we're right in the middle. Like what I took was a lot higher odd or a lot higher point spread. But yeah, I can agree with that teaser. I
Okay.
like.
Man, I've been real good at them. I'm just gonna keep
Oh
them
yeah.
going. They've hit for me. So before we get into your bets, I have the only one that I really have, and then we'll talk about the parlay after I let you cook here a little bit.
Okay.
I kind of like Friday night, tomorrow night, North Texas minus 1.5 at UTSA. I kind of North Texas has lost some games, but they can score. Their offense is good enough. I know they've had some tougher opponents and stuff, but I think this is a week where the Mean Green get it done on the road on Friday night. I kind of like the 1.5 there.
Yeah,
I'll be playing that.
UTSA is a scary team. Sometimes
Yeah,
they, other times they shit the bed and they'll cost you a parlay here and there. So I mean, at minus 1.5, why not?
yeah. It's basically a pick 'em. So I don't know. I just feel like North Texas is almost due. And a lot of times those Friday night games, man, like the road teams, underdogs, like they happen to be winning on Friday night. So that's my really only play besides my parlay pick that we'll talk about in a minute. What else do you like on Friday or Saturday especially?
So last week, I actually hit every single one of our bets except for my best bet. So I lost the best bet with Iowa, but I hit Michigan, I hit Utah to cover. Um, but unfortunately, both my parlays lost because I did have that Iowa in one, and I also took Miami stupidly at minus
Yeah.
500 up a little bit, and their upset cost me two. I had three games really highlighted before my best bet that I kind of liked. The first one, and we'll talk more about it if you want to. It's fallen actually throughout the day today. So this morning, Northwestern was plus 31.5 against Ohio State. That game's going to be at Wrigley Field. Um, I thought that was high. I just think Northwestern's defense is going to be able to kind of stick Ohio State for a while. I mean, do I think Ohio State's going to win by 3 touchdowns? Sure. But 31.5 was a great hook, I thought. I think they could win by 31 or less. But that's actually fallen down. I don't know why, because Northwestern just announced they have their middle linebacker and their wide receiver out, but it's fallen down to 28.5. I guess it could be a little bit of a homer pick, but I like Northwestern to cover 28.5. I could see this being a 30-3 or a 35-7 or a 28-0 game. Same thing as we talked about before. I think Ohio State could get lulled to sleep a little bit. It's a noon kickoff at Wrigley Field. or they could come out and just kick the crap out of Northwestern. Northwestern's probably not going to score more than 7 points, but I just believe in their defense. They have an all Big Ten corner in Theron Johnson, who I think could try and stop Ibuka a little bit. But I'm going to take the Cats 28.5. Not a big bet. It's going to be a single, but that's just my feeling.
Yep. As I was looking at that game as an Ohio State fan, I liked the Northwestern side in the first half.
Yeah.
I think a first half cover, it's probably somewhere around like 13 or 14. Like I could see the game being like 17-3 at half, or 14-6 or something like that. And then maybe second half is where Ohio State gets kind of back into the groove of things or something. So I know I have them at 18.5 Ohio State in the teaser. But I do like the Northwestern to kind of just keep it a little close, a little low scoring, kind of Ohio State playing down a little bit, as they have a few times this year. So what else do you like?
Well, my second bet was actually Pitt, plus 10.5 at home against Clemson. That's another team in Clemson I'm just not sold on. I think people are too adapted still to the Clemson of old. I'm not saying they're a bad football team. Pitt's a pretty good team, and being in Pitt, going to be a little bit colder. Clemson's got to come up and play in the cold weather a little bit. I don't know if Pitt's going to win that game outright, but I think we've had a lot of upsets, and I'm going to take Pitt plus 10.5. I like the hook there.
Yeah, I really like that one. Clemson does scare me. It's the only reason I have it jotted down in my notes for this weekend for the Clemson plus just a half point. So basically a pick 'em was they can't lose anymore.
No.
If they want to make it to the college football playoffs, they got to roll. Like they got to keep going here after some tough losses. So I'm just going to trust Dabo Sweeney to wrangle it up, but I'm going to be nervous about that one. It's just sometimes taking the big one, even if they win by 1 or 2. I'm still set there. I kind of love that one. It almost makes me want to change my teaser around and go Pitt plus 20, 21.5. So that could be in play too. So you said you had another one?
Yeah, I have. I'm not going to talk about this one much, but I do also have Marshall and Coastal Carolina over 55.5. Both those teams can score. But the last one I had before my best bet, I like this one a lot. I went back and forth between having this be my best bet and the one I did choose. Penn State at Purdue. The spread is 28. That's a good spread, I think. But the over-under is 50.5. As I said last week, Purdue, it can't score. Like, they did not score against Ohio State. Ohio State's got an elite defense. So do the Nittany Lions. And I just think that Penn State coming out of the big whiteout game, traveling to Purdue for an early kickoff, do I think Penn State's going to win? Yes. I don't know if Purdue scores. I like the under 50.5 points. I do not see Penn State putting up 50 at all, ever. And I do not see Purdue scoring more than a touchdown. So I like the under a lot there.
I like that one a lot. That's going to be a play for us there. We might be millionaires by the end of this weekend. Maybe. All right. So really quick. So again, Billy Gardner couldn't join us this week. Hopefully we get him on the pod pretty soon. It's always good to have him along with us and stuff. But he did give me a play for our little team parlay here for college football Saturday. So I got some notes for this one, Clarky. All right.
Ready.
So I got Tennessee plus 9.5 as my best bet going to Georgia, covering the 9.5. And here's some little stats here. Georgia coming off the loss. They're not playing the best. Lots of turnovers on the offensive end. Tennessee's defense is pretty good, I would say. Mm-hmm. I think it's close the whole way. I think Georgia turns it over 1 or 2 times. Maybe Tennessee does too. Tennessee's 5-4 against the spread. On the road, they're 2-1 this year against the spread. Georgia at home is only 2-7 against the spread. So, I'm sorry, that's 2-7 overall against the spread. 1-4 at home. So I like the Vols Saturday, and that's my best bet for the parlay. So we're gonna ride that one. And I love this play. When we were talking about it in our group chat, Bill picked the Washington State at New Mexico game. Biggest over-under of the weekend. Over. And it's over 72 and a half points. Now, that is a lot of points. For you listeners out there that don't know much about betting, that means both team scores have to add up over 72 and a half points. So 73 or more points have to be scored in the game. That is a lot of points to bank on. But there is a theory that you find the biggest over-under of the week and just hit the over. And they do tend to hit sometimes. So I love that play. How do you feel about the Tennessee and the over in the Washington State game before you get to your part of the parlay?
Well, in the group chat, I'll take a little bit of credit because I think I might have swayed Bill a tiny bit there.
Yeah.
Wazoo is going to score 40, 50 points. They always do with the air raid, especially against teams like New Mexico. It's New Mexico State, right? It's the Aggies, or is it New Mexico?
Yeah, I think so. I may have wrote it down wrong.
I can't remember. But yeah, those two teams that don't care about playing defense, two teams that'll score a lot. And they're, like you said, there's a reason they set it at 72 and a half. That game could easily be 45-30 or something like that. And I like the Tennessee play a lot too. Tennessee bottled up Alabama. Their defense is fast and they're very aggressive, and they cause turnovers against Bama as well. Well, only thing that scares me a tiny bit is talking as a coach, I don't know what Mad Georgia is going to look like. Is Mad Georgia going to fold it under? Because they're another team that can't afford to lose another game. Does Mad Georgia just destroy Tennessee, or do they, keep playing the way they're playing? How far have we come where Carson Beck, Georgia's quarterback, was the Heisman hopeful, or the Heisman, the leading guy for the Heisman at the beginning of the year? He has been bad this year. There's no way else to put him. He's throwing the ball right to the defensive players. But yeah, I definitely can see Tennessee winning that game and putting Georgia out of their misery, which would be good for everyone, I think, unless you're a Georgia fan. But I also really like the over as well in that game.
Yeah. I think the numbers kind of lean Tennessee. I think Georgia, I've been really on Georgia. I'm waiting for them to kind of get it going. And I don't know how popular this is, but the SEC hasn't been as impressive as it has in years past either. So I'm going Tennessee, and we're rocking the Vols in the parlay. So we got so go ahead. So you have your best bet for the parlay. What do we got?
My best bet is I'm going to take Oregon State on the road -4.5 at Air Force.
Yep.
I watched Air Force play twice now. They are awful. I mean, they just got their teeth kicked in by Navy. They cannot score. They're in a crisis mode right now. Are they an option team like old? Are they trying to be an air raid team, which they did a couple years ago well, but they don't have a quarterback right now? Oregon State plays tough competition. Kind of like you said also about that -4, -5 as a away team. So I'm going to try it again this week. I'm going to take Oregon State -4.5 at the Air Force Academy.
I love it. All right, so we're on to the NFL. We'll kind of make this quick. Mm-hmm. The NFL teaser, which again I'll post on the socials. We got the Packers going into Chicago at +4.5. They are favorites. This is a 10-point teaser, so they're getting 10 more points than they originally would. The Rams going on the road in New England after a tough loss on Monday Night Football. The under of 54.5. I really like that one, getting above that 50-49 number. Raiders at Dolphins. I got Dolphins +2.5 at home. Going back home, things are rolling. Defense is playing a lot better. And Ravens Steelers, divisional game. Steelers a slight underdog at home against the Ravens. A lot of things have gone right for the Ravens, and if you give me 13.5, like in this teaser for the Steelers at home with a good defense against Lamar Jackson in a divisional game, I'm going to take 13.5 with the Steelers all day long. So that's the 4-team teaser at +100 odds. I love it. That's going to be a put the mortgage on it type of bet right there. So another couple of plays that I like, and actually Bill and I kind of matched it with a couple of these. We both like Green Bay minus 5.5, even, regardless of the teaser. He really likes, which I like this play too, going into Chicago off of a bye, over 23.5 total points for Green Bay. So right now the line's at 23.5. They got to score 24 or more. I love it. Chicago is kind of a mess. I think Caleb Williams is going to give the Packers plenty of opportunities on offense. 24 points is very capable for the Packers there. I like the Bills to give the Chiefs their first loss of the season. And I know the Bills have their problems. It's a pick 'em. They're given 1.5. I'm even going to lay the 1.5 and pick the Bills. And I think going into Buffalo, I think they're going to be ready. The Buffalo crazies up there are going to be going wild. I got that one. And my last one is an underdog pick. I don't always love to do these. I love the way the Titans have been playing recently, especially on defense. I think they're running the ball better. I got them at home winning straight up against the Vikings at plus 230. So that's, bet 230, you win 100. Obviously, don't bet that if you don't have that, everybody. Don't do that. But I love the Titans money line. They're rolling right now, and the Vikings have kind of looked bad on offense. Their defense is playing okay, but I think the Titans can run the ball, keep it close. Maybe they win by a field goal, and they take one at home. Anything that you like?
So how many points do you think the Titans are going to score?
20.
Well, I have time for my best bet.
Yeah, let's go.
That's all I got. So piggybacking off of you there, I agree with Aaron Jones kind of with the bruised ribs and everything. The Titans at home, I think they're going to score some points on the Vikings. I actually have as my bet the Vikings and Titans over 40.5 points.
Let's go. Points up the ass. Yeah, we're going to need the Titans to score 23, 24 points. Yeah. But the way Sam Darnold's slinging it, maybe they get a couple pick sixes.
They might.
Yeah, and God bless him, Tony Pollard, the former Cowboy, he's looked good. Will Levis has kind of settled back in after the Mason Rudolph few games and everything, and I think they're good enough to get the upset. I like the 40.5 too. We might even see this number come down in the next couple days. It's only Tuesday when we're recording this, so if it gets below 38 and a half, somewhere in there, that's even sweeter for us.
Yep.
Bill's pick for the parlay. So that was your pick, the 40.5 over in the Titans game. Bills is the Broncos money line at home versus the Falcons. I love this pick. This is one of my kind of leans for the weekend too. Broncos defense has played really, really well. They should have had the Chiefs' first loss this past Sunday. I don't care if it's an emotional loss. They're going back home. The Falcons are going to, I think, have some trouble moving the ball at times. And the Broncos offensively have done enough in games. I think they could win this game 20-17, 21-15, whatever it might be. I love that one. And my parlay pick for Sunday, minus 5.5, the Packers going to Chicago. Chicago is on my shit list. I think things are falling apart. The locker room looks bad. Packers coming off a bye. I could go on and on. Packers minus 5.5. Broncos money line. Titans over 40.5. I wish I had the odds because we're hitting that parlay this week. It doesn't matter. We're smashing it. Obviously, everybody too. Take the Texans minus 7.5 on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. The Texans run Texas right now. The Cowboys are in shambles. They're terrible. It's Cooper Rush again this weekend. You have no worries. Just put all your money in the Texans, and you'll be fine.
And they covered against the Lions last week.
Bang.
Barely.
Yeah, hey, it still counts. It still counts. What a game too. Like I wanted, like I was like, I'm going to bed, and then they just kept creeping back into it. But all right, anything else for the greater good, Clarky?
Think good, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you so much. We'll post all these plays Thursday night, and then again Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully we can make you guys a couple bucks. So I appreciate you, Jordan. I'll talk to you soon, and good luck on Friday if I don't talk to you, and I'll be watching, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. Go
All right.
Cats.
See you later. All right, everybody. So that is it for episode 2 of the Full Range Podcast. I want to thank Jordan Clark for coming in for the Coach's Corner. Again, good luck to him on Friday night. And also shout out to the Troy Trojans going into the district championship up here close to home. I just want to say again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the support. If you made it through the whole episode and you're watching me now, please share this, whatever you're watching it on, whether it be in Spotify or YouTube on the Old Walls House podcast page. Subscribe to his page. If you're watching through Instagram, share it. If you see the post, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter at the Full Range Pod, and keep up to date with everything that's going on. We'll be posting some workout things, music, anything that we discuss. We'll try to incorporate, into the pod and on socials as well. So please, our goal this week is to try to get 10 shares. That would be very, very helpful to get our name out there. And I appreciate you guys so much. Next week, we'll be back on Thursday discussing another full range of topics. And I appreciate you guys very much for listening, sharing, liking the pages. And everybody have a great weekend. I love you very much. We'll talk to you soon.